as we walk out of 2019 and into the 2020, into a new decade. What are you doing to make next year different than this past year? How many New Year's resolutions have you done that just didn't happen? I don't know about you, but I'll tell you, myself and my family, I need to stay excited all the time. I need to have something new to work for. I want to show you exactly 5 steps to 10x my next year.
Right here on the Cardone Zone. This is officially the last Young Hustlers of the decade. Wow. Big moment right here. We've been doing this show for, Johnny, how long? 7 years?
7 years.
7 years we've been doing this show. Every week on Thursdays, we bring strategies and tips on how to get more, how to do more, how to be more. How to basically take this thing called success in life, merge them together, and then try to make it as simple as possible. It's impossible to really truly understand what to do until you've done it. And so a lot of people spend so much time trying to figure it out along the way, and it's so hard to do it that way. For me, I'm fortunate. Looking back, dude, I'm so fortunate to spend the last 10 years here with Grant and be able to see step by step along the way, the way this guy thinks, what he does, what he says, and how he ends every year and starts every year so that he has a better year than he did before. And, I was thinking about it, I was like, man, how could everybody else get this opportunity? How could they, be able to spend this time with Grant and see what he does and how he makes decisions? And the truth is you can. And most of you do. And the folks that have been watching this show for a really long time, and if you haven't, go back. You got to go back in history and watch this. So this show airs it's in 2 places. It lives in 2 places. One, it lives in the Cardone Zone. But then also, if you search Young Hustlers on iTunes, you can go back to show number 1. And we've spent the time going through and thinking about all the different elements that are required to be successful in sales and business and life. Some of it's mindset stuff, some of it's attitude stuff, some of it's planning, some of it's sales tactics, selling, closing, follow-up, presenting, asking questions, negotiating deals. Some of it's money and how you treat your money. But we've done so many shows, hundreds of shows, so that you have the opportunity to be connected to what's happening here. I mean, that is the reason. We can't, if you wanted to really come and go all in, apply, get a job, move your family, move your life, like most of the people here have, and become a part of the organization. But for some of you, you ain't got the balls to do it. That's a fact. Some people aren't willing to make the decisions that they need to make in order to get them what they truly want. That's kind of the litmus test to figure out how bad you want what you really want. Because I think for the most part, I think everybody that watches this show probably wants more. Maybe not all of it, maybe not, billionaire status. Maybe for you, it's, I want to make 200 grand a year, maybe even 100 grand a year, maybe $1 million a year, who knows? Everybody that's a little different. But I think it's safe to say that most people on the show want more. And you can't get more without understanding what you have to give up to get more. And that is the true litmus test. When you start writing down everything that you want, and then you start writing down the things that you have to do in order to get that, some people immediately start backing off what they want. And that will be a massive determining factor for you in the type of success you're able to create in your life, and if you're able to get what you want and live the life that you want. You have to be willing to feel the burn, And today's show is really hey, what are 3 things that you can do to make sure that you don't have to wait until 2020 to get your year started, Goal-focused people that write their goals down, people that are engaged with their goals. You know, when people start talking about New Year's resolutions, it's kind of a laugh. It's a joke. They're like, what are you talking about, New Year's resolutions? I have daily resolutions. I don't wait till the first of the year every year to figure out what I want. I know what I want. I'm crystal clear on what I want. I write it down. I think about it. I dream about it. I do every single thing that I need to do every day in order to get what I want. Dude, like, New Year's resolutions are a joke. You need to have daily resolutions. And then you need to figure out how committed you are to get what you want. Because again, when push comes to shove and decisions need to get made, and you got to start like scratching things off of your list, you find out how bad you want what you really want. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. How bad do you want what you really, really want? Who sings that song, Johnny?
Spice Girls.
Oh. I thought it was going to be a cooler reference. Like Snoop Dogg or something. Okay, so officially I'm not gangster. So, show for today, 3 things to do to basically crush it in 2020. These are really, really simple things. Like, number one, I would tell you, like, you need to get immersed in this content. Like, so, you know, people hit me up on Instagram all the time. If you DM me on Instagram, I always try to answer my DMs. Like, that's the one place where you can get, you know, people ask me, you know, hey, can I pay you for coaching? I'm not that's not what my job is. I don't accept money to coach people. But Instagram is a great way to ask questions, and you know, I'm like, I try to help as much as I can, impart on you the things that I've seen and learned over the last 10 years working for Grant that I've applied in my own life, and some better than others, and some things I still struggle with. So it's like, you know, like, this is all a work in progress, and you know, I think that the end of the year should be, rather than, you know, making resolutions for the new year, I think it should be an opportunity for you to like re-solidify the things that you want, and what it's going to take to get them, and how on track you are to getting them, and if there's still things that are in the way that are blocking you, that are preventing you from getting what you want. I think that every single person has the ability to live the life that they want to live. Like, and not the life that they are living, the life that they want to live. But again, I think that you know, people start getting into the mechanics of how to make it work, and they don't know all the answers, and then they're not willing to do like simple things along the way to actually get them on track to what they want to do. So I want to do a little show for you. Oh wow, this is funny. Cardone Capital, I just found this badge for Cardone Capital. At the time this was produced, they had $750 million in assets under management, this little badge here. It's more than double that now, almost $2 billion. So, but look, like growth like that, continuing to push, doesn't happen unless there's constantly focus on getting what you want. And so what I'm going to talk to you today about is 3 things that you can do that will make a massive difference in determining the outcome of your 2020. So here are 3 things. 3 things. By the way, if you want to call in, if you have questions, you can call us at 305-865-8668. 305-865-8668. Happy to take your questions today. All right, so number one thing you must do. Can they see that, Johnny? Should I use the different marker? Yeah. I think I need to use, which one, the second one? Second one? Yeah, I think it's that one. Yeah.
I can zoom in, see.
It's all good, dude. You can do that from in there? Dude. So 3 things that you need to do this year that'll get you started right. These are not difficult things to do. Coming up with the list of these 3 things for you is going to be relatively easy. Doing these things is what's going to take a little bit of work. Somebody once told me, they said the easiest things to do are also the easiest things not to do. Crazy when you start thinking about it like that. But number one thing you have to do is you have to set targets for yourself. Can you imagine if we went to a sports bar or something like that, and I said, hey, you want to play darts? And you're like, I'm a professional dart player. Like, I love to play darts. I said, you want to play darts for money? And you're like, dude, I throw bullseyes like LeBron throws bricks like in the game last night. So you're like, dude, I'm a professional dart player. I'm ready to roll. And you want to play for money, 100 a throw? Like, I'm in. Let's do it. And then I never told you where the dartboard was. I put the darts in your hand. I said, you go first. And there was no dartboard. And you were like, where do I even throw the darts? Like, I don't know. Just start throwing them. Imagine if I only knew where the dartboard was and it was not anywhere you thought it was. And you're like, how can I even play the game? How can I have a chance? Like, how can I even remotely have an opportunity to win this? And then before you know it, you're just starting to throw darts randomly all over the place. And I'm like, dude, you're down like $2,500. You want to keep rolling? Right? Dude, eventually you're going to be like, dude, this game sucks. I'm over it. And then you're going to quit. And for a lot of people, they don't even set targets. And so they're like, they have this thing in their head of what their life should look like or be like. And then eventually they're just like, after throwing darts randomly, just showing up, going through the motions, they quit because they're like, dude, this is no fun. I can't win the game. I really don't even understand how it's played. I don't even know what I'm throwing at. Like, imagine that. So if you're frustrated right now, dude, do you have targets? Like, do you even have a focus in your life about what you want and where you want to go? And what it's going to take to get there? Like, what are your targets for calls, for deals, for dollars made per day, per week, per month, dollars per phone call, contacts, hang-ups, cease and desist letters, upset customers? Like, what are your targets for all those things? Like, do you know like what your business is? Because you don't truly understand your business if you don't have targets. Like, you can't understand your business if you don't have targets. And you can't figure out what it's going to take to be successful without targets. Like, one of the examples for me that like really is ingrained in me for some reason, because I've never chopped a tree down before. But, it's like if you were in the forest, because I guess that's where there's big trees, and somebody gave you like not a chainsaw, but like an axe, and you had to axe a tree down. And maybe it was like a redwood, and they're like, hey, when you chop this redwood down with this axe, I'll stroke you a $10 million check. And you just started swinging this axe, and they didn't give you any other information other than just swing the axe. They didn't tell you that every 50 swings you have to resharpen the blade. And the tree will fall down after you swung the axe 4,382 times. Like, imagine if you had none of that information and you were just swinging the axe. Before you know it, you'd be like, dude, I'm over this. And you'd throw the axe out, you'd be like, keep your 10 million. This ain't worth it. My hands are all busted up. They're bleeding. It sucks. I hate life. I'm walking home. This forest is bullshit. Right? Like, imagine how frustrating that would be. But that's exactly what happens in life, dude. People never take the time to figure out what their targets ought to be in order to get them what they want. Massive, massive miss here. So, like, what you should do, since everybody's in crush it 2020 mode, 2020 get that money mode, dude, you ought to spend at least 2 hours over the next 4 or 5 days. Some of y'all aren't at work right now. Some of you, you're off from Christmas until New Year's. Some of you are off today and tomorrow and this weekend, whatever, okay? You need to spend at least 2 hours and figure out what you really want in life. Go all the way to the end and figure it out. Like, goals should be written every day, but you should have like deep dives, because the deep dive will allow you to resell yourself on how big the thing is that you want or what you really want, Like, maybe you don't want to make $100 billion, or maybe you don't want a $40 billion company in 3 years like you thought 6 months ago. Who knows? But you need to have these deep dives so that you're constantly like reselling yourself, refocusing, recalibrating on the thing that you want. So you gotta spend some time figuring out what targets you need to have. Number 2. These things that I'm covering involve no tactics, by the way. There's not a whole lot of skill required to do this, okay? These are easy things that everybody can do. No matter if you're making $1 million a year right now or you're making $1,000 a month. Like, everybody can do the things that I'm talking about right now. Number one, get super clear on your targets. Number two, people. This is the rule of 3 for people, okay? Think about your network and what's going on around you right now. Think about your friends, your family, your neighbors, your relatives, the people you're connected to online that are friends, the people you follow, the influencers you follow online. Like, think about the people that you're connected with, the input that you have, okay? I want you to come up with 3 people that you connect with on a deeper level. You reach out to, you talk to, you go see them, you go visit. Maybe it's a family friend, maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's a relative, maybe it's somebody online. Like, you need to go out and find 3 people that, looking back over the last year, 3 people that, like, you felt good when you were around them, you thought bigger when you were around them, you learned things from them, like, that worked, that you used and you worked. Like, come up with 3 people out of that whole ecosystem you have. And it should be relatively easy. Like, you should be able to come up with 1, 2, 3 names that you just drop down that like at the top of your list. It should be really easy. Come up with 3 people that you need to kill. Not literally, figuratively. Like, you need to come up with 3 people that you're like, you know what? You didn't add any value. When I saw this or you said that, it created some doubt, some uncertainty. It didn't make me feel good. I didn't like being around you. Every time I'm around you, you say these things and it undermines what I'm doing and I don't like it. Like, you're negative when I'm around. You have conflict and drama and issues in your life, and whenever I'm around you, it sucks me in and I hate the way I feel. Like, you need to identify 3 people that you need to get rid of. This also should be easy. The negative people, the people that you're going through their post, you don't like it, it makes you feel any less than moving forward, right? Like, you got to understand, like, if you're here, there are people, situations, things, information that you can consume, be around, connect with, that get you closer to the place that you want to go, right? Also, you're at that same point. There are people, issues, things, information, whatever that you get connected with that actually will take you further away. They'll try to sell you out of the thing that you want. They'll try to they'll try to talk down to you. They'll try to put a chink in your armor. They'll try to, throw some hate or some shade your way because, they see you doing something that they don't like or that they're not doing. Like, you got to identify some people that you just start taking off. And that's why when you see, like, super successful people, sometimes they don't always have big networks of people because they're like, dude, most people can't understand why I do what I'm doing to get where I want to go because they don't share that vision. They don't understand the journey I've been on. They don't understand what I'm trying to accomplish for myself or my family or whatever. Like, there's no possible way. So what they do is they just start saying, imagine if Elon Musk was around people all the time that said solar energy sucks, online payments are terrible, going to space is a stupid idea, and electric cars are a fad. Like, imagine if he was around people like that all the time. He ain't. He ain't around people like that all the time, and he don't want to be around people like that all the time because he's working freaking 100-hour weeks, sleeping in his office at the Tesla factory, trying to figure out how to make that one of the greatest automobile companies in the world. It ain't healthy for him to be around people like that. And it's not healthy for you to be around people, even if it's family. Dude, find an excuse or a reason not to go. Communicate to them, hey, every time I'm around you, you're negative. You try to talk down on what I'm doing or what I'm about. You try to make me think my goals are stupid for some reason. Like, I'm sorry, I can't be around you. Tell them. Tell them the truth. So at least it's something they can try to fix, Got to get rid of people. You got to like I don't have a whole lot of people in my community. Like, I've got my family and the people I work with. And then outside of that, like onesie twosies. Because, not everybody understands why or what or how or any of the other stuff. And they may be on a different track and I just don't want to be around them, So, like, be aware of the people that are around you. This is critical for you. Because they can either be rocket fuel or they could be anchors. And anchors will not get you where you want to go. The purpose of an anchor is to keep you where you're at. Okay? The purpose of rocket fuel is to get you places you've never been before. And so you got to find people that are rocket fuel for you. You know, that you feel good being around, that you're like, man, like I feel like I'm capable of doing more. I feel like I'm on the right track. I feel like what I'm doing isn't big enough. How about that? Like, be surrounded by people that have so much amazing stuff going on. Like, that's why it's cool following Grant. Like, he opens up his life to you. He goofs around. Like, you know, he has big, crazy, massive, audacious goals. Like, it's awesome to be around people like that. You know? Like, Grant ain't throwing a bunch of shade on people. Like, he's not, you know, being nasty to people. Like, dude, he's just being Grant. This is his deal. You know, and he lets you in on the behind the scenes of what that is and what that looks like. It's such an amazing opportunity. People with that kind of money don't typically open up like that. So we got to set our targets. We got to identify 3 of each. People to add or people to spend more time with and people to get rid of. And then number 3, activities. Just like with people, there are things you do in your life that are good, that make you feel good, that get you closer to where you want to go, and there are things that don't. They do the exact opposite. There is no constant. Okay? Like, there is no constant in this. This is you're moving forward or backwards. People are moving you forward or backwards. There is no the same. People either support you in what you're doing or they're an anchor. Rocket fuel or anchor. Like, you ought to just go through your list. Rocket fuel or anchor, rocket fuel or anchor, rocket fuel or anchor. And then start making decisions. So your activities, you need to find 3 things that you need to do more of. Reading, educating, volunteering. Volunteering always makes me feel so, it's one thing that I wish I did more often, but I don't because I'm lazy. But like, dude, it's one thing that whenever I volunteer, I feel so good. Like, it's just one of those things, I don't know how you feel bad. You know, you're contributing, you're giving to people that have less in most cases, like, or are lacking something. You're providing resources or time or something to people that are lacking that thing. You're not being paid for it. Like, it just makes you feel good. Like, helping people just makes you feel good. That's part of the reason why I love working here, because we're helping people. It just so happens we get paid to do it too. You know, like, you know, going to seminars or conferences like the 10X Growth Conference or something like it. You know, like, there's a lot of conferences. We just think we have the best one. I mean, we spend a boatload of money bringing highly, highly talented people, highly successful people, and we promote it for an entire year to an audience of people that we believe are all on kind of the same track and mission. You know, so getting around more people like that is a good thing. And some people are just sitting on the sidelines. They've never been to a conference or an event before because they're like, oh man, it's big, it's overwhelming, you know, it's 3 days, it's Las Vegas, I've only been out of my city or my town or my state 2 or 3 times, I gotta go get a hotel, I gotta get a flight. Like, it'd be overwhelming for some people. But that's how you start breaking through those layers of like experiences, and like, it's how you start expanding who you are as a person. So there's things that you need to be doing more of. So identify 3 things that make you feel good, that make you feel better, that move you closer to the thing that you want to get. And then identify 3 things you need to do less of. Drinking, smoking, clubbing, you know, playing around with guys or girls if, you know, that's your thing because you're single and you're out on the prowl, you know. Dude, it's either bringing you closer or it's pulling you backwards. Take an inventory of your life and figure out what are those things that bring me closer or pull me backwards. Simple. Like, these are simple things that could change your life. You know, activities. You get rid of the club, you add the gym. So now you're not waking up hungover. Now you're getting up early in the morning. Now you're working out. You're feeling better because your body's moving. Now you run into the day. You have more creativity. Your blood's flowing. You're pumping. You're more productive. You have more energy. You sleep better at night. Maybe you have some dreams. And one time in those dreams, like you meet with Steve Jobs because he's, chilling in dreamland. And then he gives you an idea for a new electronics thing and boom, you become a billionaire. I don't know. I'm just messing around, but dude, you never know what that first domino is that's going to fall. So you have to look at the things that you're doing that are not productive, that don't move you forward, and you need to start pulling them back. Bam. All right, let's get some callers. Natalie, let's go.
You have Jordan in Boston.
Jordan in Boston. Boston.
Yeah, I don't have the cool accent.
Okay. You're not. Are you originally from Boston?
No, outside of Philadelphia.
Okay, good. Dude, what's your question? Thanks for the call.
Yeah, thanks for all you do. I have a second flow. Some people call it a side hustle. It's complementary to my first flow, but it's not scalable. It makes since I've been watching your content over the last 2.5 years. This year, my target will get me to 10x from when I started watching, all the stuff you do a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I guess I hear a lot in people's content these days talking about don't do something that can't scale. But I mean, the number I'm talking about is pretty big. It's just I know that after next year, realistically, there's not much more room to grow. And
yeah,
so
but
the question is,
so
let
me ask you, what is it?
I'm a medical expert.
Okay, so what's your thing that doesn't scale?
Just doing that, because at a certain point, there's just a ceiling, right? Like where you're making a certain amount and it just caps out.
Well, why don't are you doing live consults? Are you doing web stuff? Are you what are you doing?
No, this is just reviewing cases for lawyers.
Okay, so could you hire somebody in that's interested in doing what you're doing, show them the opportunity, maybe you end up, how much money you make on the side hustle?
This past year, just over 100. It'll be more than that this coming year.
Okay.
2 or 3
so
times.
take that 100 that you made, pay somebody 40, bring them in, get them started, promise them a piece of the upside from where they're at, and then eventually move them into, hey, if you want me to review the case or be involved in the case, it's going to be $500 an hour. I have a junior associate that can do it for $250. What's your budget? Which one of those more fits what you're looking to do? But you can scale that business. You just have to add people.
It's hard because I will tell you, medical professionals tend to be very particular about who they do business with.
Yeah.
They want to deal with the top guy, and that's it.
Yeah. So then maybe you're the top guy that's going out and getting the business, and you have somebody going back and reviewing the case. Dude, look, let me just tell you this, Jordan. I worked for Grant Cardone. When I was selling over the phone in the early days, you know how many people were like, "Hey, let me talk to Grant. I'm not doing a deal unless I talk to Grant." I dealt with that for probably a year and a half or 2 years. And I would just tell people, dude, sometimes it would cost me business, but I knew that if I didn't find a way to confront it and handle it, that it was going to cripple me the rest of my career. How was I going to get away from it? If I couldn't handle it, how would I ever get away from it? So you bring somebody in, you mentor them, you coach them, you educate them, you give them a piece of the business, and then somebody graduates from medical school or law school or whatever. You give them an opportunity to come in, and this could be their side hustle second flow until you get, maybe the business is worth $200,000 a year in total. And you have 2 people that are making 80 and you pocket 40 and you don't have to do a whole lot. That sounds scalable to me. But you just got to add people. You just got to add people. That's how the business that you do scales. And until you come to terms with the fact that other people I mean, other people are doing what you're doing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So it can be learned and taught and transferred, right?
Look, and what I learned from you guys, which I'll say is huge, is, you're not going to, if nobody knows you, you're not going to grow. And so I took the leap into, a lot of people are sensitive to putting their image out there and saying they do this because some people look upon this as not being the honorable thing to do. I think differently. But once I started advertising, things went bananas. So thanks for your content. I mean, it's a simple message, but if people don't know you, they will not flow you. That is for sure.
Again, easy does not always mean easy to do, or easy to understand. So like the easy to do or the easy thing would be, dude, add a couple people. Jordan from Boston and team medical reviews. Like until you start, you can't start. So, have you ever tried to hire people?
No, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, even calling in, I probably should have given you another name. People are very sensitive, where I work in what they do on the side, and don't like to. It's probably frowned upon to grow too big and to do things. Given the institution I work for, I'll just
well, I mean, I'm assuming you're either a doctor or a lawyer, right?
I'm a doctor. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you know how many people are going to medical school right now that are struggling to pay bills, that are broke, that would be like, dude, how do I get extra money? Maybe you teach people how to do this. Maybe you teach people how to go out and add this as a second flow of income. And your product now, instead of becoming case review, becomes education on how to make case review a side hustle. How to market, how to drive interest, create an opportunity, a relationship, and a deal.
I love it. Yeah, it is. I will say it's tough selling to doctors because they think they know everything. I'm sure you've come across that.
Well, I mean, everybody's tough to sell to because they think they know everything. Just at a different level. All right, man, I hope that helps. I just say you got to add people or you got to pivot into teaching other people how to do it, because if it's looked down upon, if people stay away from it, that means there's probably an opportunity there.
Thanks so much. Happy New Year.
All right, man, you too. Next caller.
You've got Joe in Miami.
Joe from Miami. Joe, what's up, man? Thanks for calling the show.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up, brother?
Good. It's so funny because I'm listening to the show, but I'm hearing my voice on the phone.
Yeah. You got to turn the show off, I think.
Right. All right. There it is.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's up,
How are
brother?
ya?
What's your question?
Good. Good to be on. Quick question. Going back to rule number one, or step number one of this, of goal setting, I'm looking for a personal tip of advice from you to kind of go through. Somebody has to set goals. It's super important, not just in business and personal life and their own development. Goals is what gets you forward. That's clear and obvious. But I think what a lot of people have the problem with is kind of getting out of actually into that next step of saying, okay, I know I need to set goals, and then people kind of get lost in how do I set a goal? What type of goal do I set? You kind of end up with that mental block.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask.
Great question.
If you ever get that, and how do you get past that and actually accomplish that?
Okay, so here, in my opinion, where I think that people fail with goals is they go, man, I want to make 10 million bucks, and man, now I just got to think of an idea, or I got to figure out how, how to start making money so that I can make 10 million bucks. Okay, so I could go work for Grant Cardone, but his sales guys, they only make $3,000 a month. Some of them, to start plus commission. Some of them make a couple $100,000 a year. But man, I'm going to get in there. It's going to be really hard. It might not work. So they move in the wrong direction, putting the whole thing together. You got to figure out, at the highest level, why. For me, it's always been easier to figure out what I want and then move backwards. And I didn't really figure this out until maybe 5 years ago. Because I was always, when I would write goals down, I always thought about cool stuff to have, but I never really, there was no process or system or any way that I went from where I'm at today to get me where I want to go. So here's how you have to do it. if this is your timeline of life, for me personally, when I start thinking about goals, I'm like, okay, well, when I'm 65, what do I want my life to look like? Right? So I'm like, okay, well, when I'm 65, I'd like to make $1 million a year passive, because I'm going to have a $2 million house in Miami on water, 4 bedrooms, 4 bath. By the way, let me just go on Zillow real quick or Realtor.com and see how much waterfront homes in Miami are. Oh, wow, shit, they're $8 million bucks? Well, heck, I need to make more money than that then. Like, and then you go back and you recalibrate to figure out what it is you want at the end. So for me, I'm like, okay, I want to make $100,000 a month passive. I want to be able to travel and go on $25,000, $30,000 vacations every quarter. I want to go to Europe. I want to be able to go to Asia. I want to be able to go to Africa. I want to be able to go to Greece. I want to be able to go to Hawaii. I want to start getting into all of the things that I'd like to do. Okay, so now I've got 4 trips a year at $30,000 each. That's $120,000 a year for like first class vacations. I want to have kids through college, which is going to be, $300,000 aside if they want to go to school. I want to have 3 cars. 1 car is going to be this car. That's $3,000 a month. 1 car is going to be this. That's $15,000. 1 car here, that's going to be like $600 or $700 a month. Like, I want to get into all of the numbers and figure out how much everything costs for me to get to here. And really, it's like, what are all the things you want in your life at this point, and then how much does that all cost? And so for me, I get to $100K a month. Now, I got to be able to have all of that without working, because I don't want to work if I don't want to when I'm 65. I want to work because I want to, right? Not because I have to, but because I want to. So now I'm like, okay, so now I want to make $100,000 a month passive at 65 years old. For me, I believe that creates a pretty awesome situation. Now, here's the thing. Now when I start going, how do I make that happen here? I start going, man, do I really want to wait till I'm 65 for that? Like, because I've gone all the way to the end of the finish line of the race, I'm like, where do I want to finish at? Now I go, well, man, it'd be great to have that stuff when I'm 45. Man, that'd be awesome. That would be like 9 years from now. Shit. Man, that'd be freaking cool. 45, 9 years from now, Jake's going to be 11. Hopefully we have another kid that's, going to be like 4 or 5 or something. I don't know. But I'm still going to have young kids. I can hang out with them. I'm working because I want to, not because I have to. So that just completely changes your mindset. I've got all the things that I want to have. But I've also ended up in a situation where at $100K a month, if I live off of $250, well, let's just say that's passive income, so it's taxed at 22% instead of 40%. So now I've got $78K a month. I'm living off of $20K a month, or $25K a month. So now I've got $53K a month. That's like $650,000 a year to invest. So now I'm investing $650,000 a year. I'm 45. I'm living the kind of life that I want to live. And that $650,000 a year every year continues to get invested. So now I'm like, well, shit, I've created like a flywheel now, because as long as the apocalypse doesn't happen, I've got a brick of money that I'm reinvesting every single year, so that this is going to continue to grow. And by the time I'm 65, that's probably going to be like $300K a month passive. I'm like, wow, man, that would be really cool to get at 45. Now I'm excited, right? Like, now I've found the thing that excites me. So you see how I went from like the end target to like, well, hey, do I want that then or do I want that now? And then I'm going to go into the mechanics, which is what you're talking about, which is like, okay, so if I want to get $100K a month in income, passive, I need to have I think 14 million's the number. Yeah, I need to have 14 million invested in real estate at 6%. So now I've got a target. I've got 2.4 million invested right now, or 2.3 million. 2.3 million invested right now. So now I need 11.7 million. So now over the next 9 years, I got to figure out how to invest $11 million, okay? I got to assume that, over the next 9 years, that's probably going to double in value. So that's going to take me to 5 million. So now I need to come up with another 9 million, not 11. So let's see. You see all the math I'm doing? I'm working this shit out. I'm getting into okay, now I need to make $9 million over the next 9 years, and I'm going to assume that year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the way that I would just figure the math, and I'm just going to make this up because I don't have the time to do it on the show, but I'm going to say, let's say I can invest 500K here, 500K here. Hopefully income continues to increase. So maybe now it's 750, now it's 750. In the meantime, all of this money that I'm investing, right, that's going to start compounding. It's going to start paying me cash flow. Who knows what happens? Maybe Uncle G picks a real winner and I get a big distribution at the end of the year. Then I'm up to 4 million invested in 3 years. That 4 million at 9 years is going to become 8 million. Now I'm getting closer to that 14 million. I continue to invest. It continues to roll. And I'm like, shit, man, all I got to do is make at least, in my situation, may not be the same as yours, right? Now I got to make 1.5 million a year for the next 9 years. And I'm going to be there probably more. And then at 45, every 10 years, that 14 million is going to double in value. That's kind of like the safe math. So then 55 and then 65. So the double would be 14 over 10 years becomes 28 at 55. At 65, the double takes me to 52 million. 52 million. 52 million at 6% is it's like 6 million a year. It's a lot of money, dude. 52 million. Dude, that's $3 million a year. So that's my $250,000 a month. So I was almost there. Do you see how much certainty and clarity I got on actually what will be required to get me where I want to go? Okay, now I need to figure out the next thing. I'm already making $1.5 million, so I'm not assuming any massive changes, right? The massive change would be we continue to grow what we're doing. Cardone Ventures takes off, Cardone Advertising's popping, all these things start happening, and that 1.5 becomes 3. Now everything accelerates even more. Now I'm freaking really excited. I'm like, man, if I could double up and get to 3 million a year, man, I might be able to do this in 7 years, not 9. So now I'm going to come back and I'm going to go, okay, I need to get to $3 million a year. That's going to be my next target. Now, in order for me to get to $3 million a year where I'm at, based on the math, blah, 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 company has to do X. Okay? In order for us to do X, now I got to figure out where all that money is going to come from. Okay, so that means Cardone Ventures is X, Cardone License is X, Cardone Advertising is X, Cardone Training is X. So now, what do I need to do to help Cardone Ventures hit their target? What do I need to do to hit Cardone License hit their target? What do I need to do to hit Cardone Advertising to get their target? Now I'm taking responsibility all the way back down to the thing that the lever that I can pull that's going to get me to the 3 million a year, which is going to get me through all of the math that I need to get through to get me to hit my target. I've got a vehicle. I'm in it right now. You may not be. That's probably what your real question is. Joe, was it Joe? Is that who called? Joe? That's probably your real question. What happens if you're like, I need to make $1.5 million a year and you're making $50K a year? That's probably what your real question is. So now what you got to do is now you got to start looking at the opportunity. Where's the money? In your existing role right now, are there people that are making $1 million a year? Is it possible for you to make 250, 300, 400, 500 grand a year? Because that gives you the ability to start placing that money and investing and making moves. If not, then you have to do one of two things. And I tell people this all the time. In your job right now, you have to make the decision if two things can happen. Can you learn a whole bunch that'll make you millions? Or number two, can you earn $1 million or more? You either, if in your job right now, you need to be learning or you need to be earning or you need to be doing both. But if you're in your role right now and you're making 50 grand a year, and let's say you're a salesperson, if there are not people on your sales team that are making 150K a year or 300K a year, if nobody's making the kind of money that you want to make, you're in the wrong vehicle. Now, again, before you cut bait, throw, and jump off the boat, what you need to figure out, number one, is in order to get to 300, you have to, from 50, you've got to go through 100K, you've got to go through 200K. There's a pathway to follow, right? But you need to do the math on your role and say, how do I get in my job where I'm at from 50K to 300K? Is it possible? How could it be possible? If it's not physically possible, then number one, the opportunity's wrong, or number two, you don't have the skill set to do it, which means you need to go back and educate yourself. Is this helpful? Is this helpful for you guys? This is just how I go through getting connected with what I really want and how to get it. Because all of if you go in and hey, I've got a 20-year plan. Okay? It's 2020. By 2040, I need to have my plan. Each year, in order for me to hit my plan, I need to make 80 grand year one, 100 grand year two, 150 year three, 200 year four, 275 year five, 350 year six. You need to go year by year and figure out how much do I make, how much do I invest, how much do I make, how much do I invest, how much do I make, how much do I invest. So you're tracking your income line. You're tracking your income line until you start investing. Then you have to start tracking your investment line. And then you add another flow. And then you've got your multiple flows thing happening here. And then you're tracking that. And all of them are getting you closer to that goal that you have. Be conservative on this. I always try to be super conservative. I assume, hey, my income is going to stay where it's at. It's not going to balloon up. If you're making 50 grand a year, then you need to plan for growth. But for me, I'm okay, super conservative. How do I do this? Okay, so my conservative plan is X. My growth plan is Y. How do I get to $3 million a year? Okay, I've got the training business, I've got Cardone licensing, I've got Cardone advertising, I've got Cardone ventures, I've got Cardone events and tours, I've got Cardone speaking. How do I start pulling all these levers and making this thing work and grow? How do I bring more opportunities in? Because I want to make $3 million a year, and in order for me to do it, all of them have to hit these targets. Because you got to go back and work the math. Todd and I were just through one of the things. How do we get CTTI, our training business, to do X? Well, in order for it to do X, we need to do this much in revenue, and based on how many salespeople we have, we need to have this many salespeople, and based on salespeople conversions and X, we need to have this many leads per month at these conversion rates. So now we're chasing the lead thing because we know the lead thing is going to lead to the deal thing that can support the salespeople who can drive the income and the revenue to get that business unit to get where it needs to go, so that will ultimately be one of the pieces that contributes to me getting to $3 million a year. Then we need to go to Cardone Ventures or Cardone License. We need to move through these different units. And so for you need to figure out with your one line that you're at right now, your income, how do you get from 50 to 75 or from 50 to 100 or from 50 to 150? Can you do it? And if not, you're in the wrong opportunity and you need to find something else, or you don't have the skill to do it. Saturday at noon, we're gonna spend at least, we always say an hour, but it's always longer than that, at least an hour going over this in more detail. And it's not just gonna be me doing it, it's gonna be Uncle G, okay? He helped me understand how to do all this stuff. He helped me understand how to map all of it out and figure it all out so that I'm like, oh, it's not some mystery for me to get where I wanna go at 45 years old. It's not a mystery at all. In fact, all I have to do is this. Wow. All I gotta do is get 50,000 leads a month. Now I just gotta get creative. Now I gotta chase that one target. Because I know that one thing. See, what people do is they get so focused on all these other things. They're like, oh, I gotta do this and I gotta get multiple flows and I gotta do this and I gotta do that and I gotta, dude, what you need to do is boil it all down. Do all the math and boil it down to the one thing that you need to put all your energy on. When we go focus on one thing, stats go through the roof. When we get all of our energy on one thing that we know will make a big difference, boom. We've got 18,600 people registered for this free jumpstart that we're doing on Saturday. If you are all committed to making 2020 your best year ever, you need to have strategies, you need to have tips, you need to have tools, you need to have resources, but more importantly, you need to have a group of people to do it with. You need to have a group of people that move you closer to the thing you want, not people that take away from you. You need people that will support you, you need people that will encourage you, and you need a freaking plan. From somebody who's been there before. I can't create a plan to get to 100 million because I never been there before, but you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stick next to Uncle G because he's been there a few times. So I'm gonna be like, yo, how do I get from where I'm at to where I wanna go? I need to start closing the gap. Maybe you're at 50 grand, you're like, man, I'd love to get to $1.5 million a year. Well, good. Then listen to the show. Come on the 2020 training that we're going to do Saturday. This Saturday, noon, East Coast Standard Time, grantcardone.com/2020. Normally we charge for these things. We're doing this for free because we want to get a bunch of people on there. 18,000 people have already registered to come on this webinar. You need to be there. We're going to lay the path. We're going to give you the tips. We're going to give you the strategies. We're going to give you the mindset. We're going to help you understand that getting what you want out of life is way easier than you think it is. You think it's so hard because you're focusing on 5,000 different things that go into the equation rather than the one thing that will make all the difference. So we're gonna help you identify that one thing Saturday, noon East Coast Standard Time. It's free to register. Get as many people as you can on there because you want people on the freaking freight train that you're rolling on so that you have a bunch of people with rocket fuel pushing you and not a bunch of anchors trying to drag you down. grantcardone.com/2020. It's free. We're doing this because we want to make 2020 your best year ever. We want to have success stories all year in 2020 about people that are having their best year yet, living the best life. That right? Yeah. So we want to see you there. We're doing this absolutely free. Saturday, noon, East Coast Standard Time, grantcardone.com/2020 to register. Let's see, what else do we got? January 20th and 21st, we're doing a phone workshop here in our office in Miami. It's going to be a 2-day workshop where basically we're having all of our Cardone U customers, we're opening this to everybody, but bring a lead list, people that you have dead leads, new leads, hot leads, cold leads, people that haven't converted, people that you want to convert, people that said they'd never do business with you. Bring your list. Bring your scripts. We're gonna spend basically a day educating you on how to become a badass assassin master of the phone. And then we're gonna spend an entire day going in, making live calls with you, with our team. It's gonna be freaking amazing. You can go to grantcardone.com/phones if you wanna register for that. You can bring your team. If your company you work for won't pay for it, we made it affordable enough so that you can do it for yourself. But I promise you, everything that we've done to get to 150 million bucks a year has come because of the phone. E-commerce only works so well until you can pick up a phone and call somebody. Selling event tickets online only works so well until you need to pick up the phone and call somebody. Trying to get people with creative marketing and advertising to just flop up into the boat only works so well before you need to pick up the phone, you need to talk somebody, and you need to close a deal. So we have our phone workshop all through January. Grant's going to be on the West Coast. We have West Coast dates that you can sign up for at grantcardone.com/tour. grantcardone.com/tour. We're doing Phoenix, San Diego, Anaheim, Vegas, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Oakland, all in the month of January. It's a kickoff to our 2020. It's going to be crazy. Of course, all of that is leading up to the 10X Growth Conference in Las Vegas. It's going to be our best one yet. We're super excited about it. Kevin Hart, Magic Johnson, Scooter Braun, Marie Forleo, Brad Parscale, Pete Vargas, Ryan Dice, Brandon Dawson, Elena Cardone, and of course, Grant Cardone. I'll probably be there a little bit too. If you want to come see me, say what's up. So look, we got a lot of ways that we can help you in 2020. We're committed to you having the best year yet, and we hope that you choose us to help you along the way. Free Saturday 2020, grantcardone.com/2020. Get your year started off right. Remember, the only people that will ever condemn your hustle are the ones who've already given up on the hustle themselves. We will see you in 2020.
What you doing with your life as we walk out of 2019 and into the 2020, into a new decade? What are you doing to make next year different than this past year? How many New Year's resolutions have you done that just didn't happen? I don't know about you, but I'll tell you, myself and my family, I need to stay excited all the time. I need to have something new to work for. I want to show you exactly 5 steps to 10X my next year.